Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Isotopes Park this afternoon. We definitely have some exciting news to share with everybody. We're going to go ahead and get things started. We'll have John and Jeff come up and make a few comments. We'll open it up for Q&A. We'll have a little photo op with them actually signing our player development contract following their remarks, and then we'll break into one-on-one. So just hold your questions to the end, and we'll get going after that. Without any further ado, John Traub, General Manager of Isotopes. Thanks, Lee.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out today. And I know it's been a much anticipated day over the last several weeks. There's been so much talk and excitement and interest, and really appreciate everybody's interest as we've tried to kind of explain the process. And obviously there's been some interesting circumstances surrounding this. But we are really, really excited today to announce that we are entering into a 4-year player development contract with the Colorado Rockies. The Rockies are a perfect geographical fit for us. You know, we've had a long-standing relationship with the Rockies going back many years because of our exhibition games, and we've had some of our former employees actually go to work for the Rockies. So there has certainly been a relationship for a number of years. I would like to introduce two people that are up here in the front of the room with us, and they will both be speaking both up here, and we can all break off into one-on-ones later. The Senior Director of Player Development for the Colorado Rockies, Jeff Breitich. I'd also like to welcome the Assistant Director of Player Development with the Rockies, Zach Wilson. Now, Dan O'Dowd, who is the Executive VP and General Manager of the Rockies, was here earlier. He did have to leave to jump on a flight because some business came up that he had to run to. So he certainly wanted me to express his regrets for not being able to be here. And as well, Ken Young, Isotopes President, he certainly was wanting to be here but was unable to be here today. When we look at you know what, one more introduction. I'd like to also introduce in the back. He refused to stand up in the front of the room, but I do want to point out also another member of the Rockies organization, their VP of Communications, Jay Alvis. And Jay, thank you so much for being here. Jay's been here in Albuquerque before with the exhibition games, so some of you might have even worked with him previously. But the stability of the Rockies franchise is something that was certainly very, very exciting and intriguing to us. You know, you look at Denver, you look at, it's a short drive, what, 6, 7 hours, 5 hours, depending who's driving. So many people from Albuquerque do go up to Denver. They go up to Coors Field to watch the Rockies play over the years. People from Denver have come down to Albuquerque. When we had our last exhibition game, our most recent one back in 2010, I know there were more than 200 people that purchased tickets from the Denver area just to come down to watch the exhibition game that we had that year. So, you know, there's certainly that geographical tie, but there's some other ties as well that are really important to us and very intriguing to us. One thing, these guys, you know, I've spent my entire career really trying to build relationships, both personally and professionally, with major league organizations. And I will tell you that this organization, the Rockies, these individuals, the ownership group of the Rockies, I will tell you from my experience with them, they are first-class people, and we couldn't be more thrilled to be associated with them. We look at the longevity, we look at stability, we look at we look at this as certainly a long-term move for us. This is this is the start of a new era. You know, we've had 2 major league affiliates in the past, and we've had great relationships with both. We had the Florida Marlins here for our first 6 years. We had the LA Dodgers for the next 6 years, and we developed great relationships with those folks. And we are certainly hopeful that those relationships will continue to be good over the years. But now we're very, very excited to have this new relationship develop and really be unveiled to you all here today. The Rockies are an organization that have really shown their model is based on player development. They build from within. You look at so many of the stars and players that are in the Rockies on their major league club. These are guys who've come up through their system. And I'll let Jeff and Zach speak to who some of these people are and even their own philosophy relative to developing players. But it's great to have an organization that really puts a lot of pride into developing players and having winning at the minor league level be a part of their development. That doesn't mean you're going to win every year, and it doesn't guarantee you championships. But two of their minor league clubs this year made it to the playoffs. Their Asheville club won their league championship in the South Atlantic League, and their AA team in Tulsa finished, I believe, within one game, wasn't it?
Game 5.
Game 5 of the Texas League championship. So that's really important. Now, minor league baseball and the Isotopes are certainly included in this. We are about the entertainment and providing something that's wholesome for the community and providing a great night out. And that obviously is going to continue. But we're also about player development. And I can let them both speak on the player development aspect. But having clubs that have been successful in their system is really important to us, and it shows that these players have won, and hopefully they can win as they go through the system. And this AA club in Tulsa that just finished within one game of their Texas League championship, we hope that a lot of those guys are going to be here next year. So, but we'll see how all that plays out. I mean, it's right now we're here to talk about the relationship. We're here to talk about just how exciting of a day this is for us, and I couldn't be more thrilled to have these guys come down to join us on very short notice and be part of our festivities today. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce the Senior Director of Player Development for the Rockies, Jeff Breitich.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. Afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having us. And before we kind of get into the business of today, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to Ken Young, thank you to John, and thank you to the rest of the Isotopes family that we've had the ability and honor to meet today. It's been, we showed up this morning, and we do, as John mentioned, we do have a history here of exhibition games, and we feel like we have a sense of the city. I'm not going to stand up here and profess that we know everything there is to know about Albuquerque, but we really feel like this is an extension of our home. And so some of that has to do with the proximity of the two cities, Denver to Albuquerque. But I think, as John touched on, it also has to do with the type of people that work for both organizations. And I think the goals in the relationship, the future relationships that we're going to, or the future relationship that we will have. And that takes time, and that takes effort. And there are two parties and a lot of people in those parties that are dedicated to making the best of this new arrangement and this new agreement. So thank you to all of the people in the Isotopes who have welcomed us here today, shown us around. It's obviously a first-class facility that we are excited about as part of our future here. As John mentioned, the regionality of this, there are only so many teams in the Rocky Mountain Corridor, and for so many reasons, it makes sense when you have the ability to have your players play close to home. And the goal for us in player development with the Rockies is that when our players are playing, in whatever city it is, that they feel like they are close to Denver. And we can say that literally and figuratively here in Albuquerque, which is a wonderful thing. And it really is exciting because there are a lot of ways that we are going to create connections between the two organizations in the future. There are a lot of ways we're going to create connections between the two cities in the future. And our hope and our goal is that at some point in the near future that Albuquerque, in some way, shape, or form, bleeds Rocky purple. And we hope to do that through not only the play of our baseball players here, but also how they represent themselves here in the community. The expectations we have for our players and our staff members to be a part of, to be and become a part of the Albuquerque community, not just on the field, but off the field as well. And hopefully that you recognize that as citizens of the city, but you also, in addition to that, are able to see a bunch of very talented baseball players making their way up I-25 and playing winning baseball and championship baseball for the Denver club. So, you know, thank you very much for having us here. We appreciate everything. Zach and I, John, are willing to answer whatever questions. I think we are. You want to do that now, or do you want to do that at last?
We can't do that now, but I want to tell you that for me, the cherry on top of this whole deal is that I learned just a little while ago that Zach Wilson is a major Breaking Bad fan. So for me, that makes it a done deal. So,
Should we sign?
yeah, let's do it. Now, a lot of people wonder, so what goes into this, what's called a PDC, Player Development Contract. That's it. It's a piece of paper that both of us sign. It's a standard agreement that is set forth in the professional baseball rules, and this is the standard agreement that all clubs enter into. So we can do it right here. If you guys want to bring cameras up or whatever, we can do that. As the visiting team, I'll let you lead off. Welcome to the family.
Thank you.
You got it. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Zach, thank you too. You got it. Welcome. So we're happy to take any questions.
Do you want one-on-one or at the podium?
We can do both. Here's the, if you want a closer photo of it, you can put it right there. Question?
Fire away.
I'm just wondering, it's a 4-year contract. Is that because you've had 2-year contracts, what's a standard contract? Is there such thing?
You want me to touch on
Yeah,
it?
it's go ahead. It's either a 2 or a 4.
Okay.
You know, it's that, and that's mandated by the agreement that exists between Major League Baseball and minor league baseball. You can't change it. It's set in stone. It's either 2 or 4, and you know, I think with a 4-year, we are trying to make a statement that we are dedicated and honored to be here and hopefully be here for a while.
Jeff, what was the reason for not re-upping with Colorado Springs? I mean, they're obviously like regional, and they're obviously a lot closer. What was the
Sure.
idea behind not re-upping?
Well, look, we had, 21 years of time with the Springs. Our relationship remains wonderful. They're a wonderful group to work with. You know, we were in communication with them over the course of at least 12 to 13 months. That you know, there were certain things from a business and baseball perspective that we were looking to do, and we were gonna you know, and see, make sure we understood the landscape before making a final decision. So it was multifaceted. There wasn't any one thing, but you know, when we look back on our time with Colorado Springs, not just because of the proximity, you know, we look on it fondly, and you know, we're you know, but that's not the point of today. I mean, the point of today is we're so excited to be here and start anew here.
Was this, it happened so quickly, was geographically and all that, the relationship of the past, all those things were factors in making this seem like the right place for you in the park, the facilities, was it all of those things?
It was. I mean, I couldn't put it any better than that. And I think that from a baseball perspective, from a business perspective, I think that one of the things that excites us, you know, we're so excited about you know, the people here and their vision and what they want to do and with the Isotopes and how it matches some of the things that we want to do. The facility obviously is you know, it's such a first-class, you know, you can't even say it's a first-class AAA facility. It's a first-class baseball facility really at any level. And, you know, how can we not be excited about that? You know, it's a big thing for us. It's a big deal.
Since it seems like the relationship with you guys in Colorado Springs was coming to a close, was Albuquerque your first choice?
It was a choice, but it quickly became our first choice. You know, there are other teams in the Rocky Mountain region. So when I said, you know, when I answered about us taking a look at and understanding the landscape, that's exactly what we did. And that was over a long period of time. You know, not necessarily the in-depth conversations that eventually led to this agreement and this new relationship, but the research that goes into, you know, into that was over an extended period of time. Jeff,
you talked about things you want to do with the franchise and how this falls into that. What particularly, can you get into specifics, and how does Albuquerque and this franchise help you?
Well, you know, John touched on some of it. You know, there are fans here that are Rocky fans already because of the regionality and because of the proximity to Denver. So I think that if you look to the future and you dream a little bit, you know, in terms of creating more fans for us down here and creating a brand identity of Rockies baseball in the Rocky Mountain region makes a lot of sense. Now that doesn't happen overnight, you know, and we need to, you know, and that takes time, that takes effort, and that takes, you know, we want to get just as many fans, hopefully, coming down to see your Rockies players from Denver here and from Colorado, not just Denver, but Colorado. Colorado's a big state. So, you know, that's part of it. That's definitely part of it.
John, when did it become clear that this was really the option that you guys were going to go forward with, that this made the most sense for you? Obviously, there were rumors out there that the Astros were also interested, that the Brewers were available. Can you talk a little bit about the process and how this kind of became a done deal?
Well, that's a great question because, you know, the way that the procedure works with Major League Baseball and Minor League Baseball, you know, you don't know up until you can speculate, and we can read the same websites and stuff that everybody else reads, but, you know, until it actually comes out, you don't know. But even in the course of time, talking about what was important to us, you know, we wanted to have a Major League affiliate that our fan base could relate to, could identify with, if you will. You know, I want to backtrack about something that I was saying, not backtrack, but go off again on another point that I was talking about before, and that is how classy this organization is. When I went to spring training in 2010 to work out some final details of our exhibition game arrangement, the Rockies, I believe it was Dan O'Dowd, brought me over and he said, the kid doesn't know this yet, but we know it would be important for him and it would be meaningful to him, and we know it would be meaningful for the community. So we're going to bring this young kid who was slated to play at AA this year. This is 2010. We're going to bring this young kid who was slated to play at AA, and we're going to have him play in this exhibition game, and that was Jordan Pacheco. And that has sat with me for however long that's been, on just how first class these people are. They didn't have to do that. And it, you know, with that, I don't know if that sold tickets for us or not, but the fact that they thought about this kid and they thought about his family, I thought that was terrific. So that's always been on my mind about what, these are great people, and we've always had a good relationship with them. But when they became available, they're just right up the road. From a geographic point of view, it makes a heck of a lot of sense.
In terms of talking about relationships, obviously there was the questions dealing with Colorado Springs and Colorado. Arguably, the relationship between the Dodgers and this city goes back way beyond that, back to the 60s.
Sure.
I know you're excited about the new relationship, but is there some degree of I don't know if remorse is the right word, but loss seeing the Dodgers leave town?
Here's how I'm going to answer that. Okay, like Jeff said, you know, this is all about moving forward. The Dodgers' ownership situation with Oklahoma City was something that That club, the Mandalay Sports Group, and you can look, the Dodgers in Oklahoma City had a press conference earlier today to announce the pending purchase and their affiliation. Mandalay Sports own that franchise. They own 5 minor league baseball franchises. They wanted to sell them. The key partner in Mandalay Sports is a guy by the name of Peter Guber. Peter Guber is a minority owner of the Dodgers, also involved with Sony Pictures, produced many, many big-time movies. Also, key owner of the Golden State Warriors. Okay, but so basically, Mandalay Sports and the Dodgers have had this relationship. They're partnering in this for business reasons that you'll have to ask them about. I don't, what goes into that. The Dodgers were here for a long time. The Marlins were here for 6 years before the Dodgers came back. From 2003 to 2008 was a tremendous period for us. 2009 to 2014 was also a tremendous time period for us. We are the Isotopes, and we provide something for the fabric of, we're part of the fabric of this community, and we take that very seriously, and we take a lot of pride in what we provide for people in this town. Early next season, sometime probably late April, maybe early May, fan number 7 million is going to come through this ballpark. Not all of them have been Dodger fans. Not all of them have been Marlins fans. You know what? Probably not all of them have even been Isotopes fans, but there have been baseball fans. And this is a good baseball community, a very good baseball community. And if you walk the concourse, you see a variety of Major League hats and T-shirts and jerseys that people are wearing. Will this community miss the Dodgers? You know what? It doesn't mean people have to stop being Dodger fans. It doesn't mean that the memories that they grew with over the years have to be thrown away. I grew up in Los Angeles. I've always been a Dodger fan. I haven't always been affiliated with them, but you're always interested. You know what? But this is a business. We can't lose sight of that. They had to do what they had to do from their perspective, from their business model, and that's fine. We respect that. As I've told everybody over the last month, there's 30 Major League teams, 30 AAA teams. Yes, we were going to be with somebody, absolutely. We're thrilled to death that it's the Colorado Rockies. But you know what? This is a great baseball town, and I really, really believe that. And the feedback that we've gotten from fans, over the course of the season, certainly over the last month, has been, you know what? As long as the Isotopes aren't going anywhere, that's what we're really, really happy about, because this franchise, this facility, has really come to mean something to this community. And I get emotional about it, because we've put our blood, sweat, and tears into this place over 12 plus years now, and we will continue to do that. So,
Any exhibition games coming up this year, or is it too early?
you want to talk about that? You want to sign that document too?
It's well, that's why we originally came here. It wasn't anything about affiliation. It was, you know what? Obviously, we have that history here, and we've had that history here of playing here for good reason. So, is it something that we have, locked in stone or cemented? Not right now. That would be an ongoing discussion that certainly is an open discussion, and something that we'll talk about for the future. So.
Kind of mentioned, getting involved with the community, being a part of the community. Are there any ideas that you can give us? I mean, like player caravans or anything like that?
You know what? We've been a part of those in the past. We haven't necessarily done those in the recent, but as John mentioned, we've had some substantive conversations, and we've talked through a lot in a very short period of time. But there are some conversations that we haven't had quite yet, and we just haven't gotten to. And that doesn't mean that those are less important, or those concepts are less important, but we just haven't quite got there yet. And so we definitely, it's not just for this upcoming year either. There are going to be ideas that John and the Isotope staff have that are going to be great ideas that we're probably going to want to do, and there might be stuff that we come up with that we want to do that maybe has worked in other cities or with other ball clubs or whatever else. And so, honestly, we just haven't quite gotten there yet.
Jeff, could you compare the two cities last season in attendance?
In terms, what two cities are you talking about?
Fan attendance in Colorado Springs and Albuquerque.
If my numbers are correct, I believe Albuquerque was ahead, right? So
Can I ask John,
Yes.
did you do any projections on attendance with the Rockies?
With the Rockies?
Like, what kind of impact on
Yeah,
attendance this is
yeah,
gonna have?
right.
I don't know yet. You know, I think, you know, our attendance numbers have been very steady since we started. In fact, out of curiosity, I did some comparison. Our first 6 years with the Marlins was almost 100 fans per game more than our 6 years with the Dodgers, which was really interesting to me, especially one year when we had almost 603,000 fans in '09, when that was the Manny Ramirez year when he played 2 or 2.5 games, whatever the perspective is. But anyway, you know what, we fully expect that our attendance will continue to be strong. We hope it is. Our sales staff is going to be out there just as aggressive as they always have been. You know, this year we ended up with 565,000 fans. We averaged almost 8,100 fans per game. I mean, we're ranked 3rd in the Pacific Coast League. I think we finished 8th or 9th or something in all of minor league baseball. And we've been, I don't want to take that for granted for one sec, but I mean, it's been tremendous. And we're going to do everything in our power and our ability to keep that going.
John, did you speak to any other clubs other than the Rockies?
You know what? Yeah, we have. I mean, there's only 2 other major league clubs that most likely would be the most realistic for here. But we felt, and we were honest with them. What makes it difficult is that we have friends and relationships with all those clubs. So we had told them our preference was to be regional, to be close, and you know, when you talk about a 45-minute flight or plus or minus 6-hour drive, that's pretty close. So we were very upfront and honest about that.
Look, that's a natural part of the process of any sort of reaffiliation process. You know, and that is part of the business aspect of this industry and how this and really how it's set up. We work within, you know, the structure that we are in, and so conversations. It goes back to understanding everything that's out there and understanding the entire landscape, and that's no different for the Isotopes in this period of time as it was for us.
Jeff, did the fact that, not just the facility, but the fact that you've got an international airport 5 minutes away play into your thinking as well?
In terms of the proximity to Denver, it's a 6.
Or wherever
Well,
they might be.
yeah, it's a 6-hour drive from here into Denver. It's a 1-hour flight. And did that play into it? Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that you know, this is a large city, and it's a growing city, and hopefully it's growing full of Rockies fans. But sure, it did play into it.
As far as player development, altitude play into it at all? Just the fact that there's.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we live in altitude, right?
Everybody else is wondering.
Yeah, well, we live in it, and by we I mean the Denver community, the Colorado community, the Colorado Rockies. By we I mean the Albuquerque Isotopes and whoever plays here. It's a reality that it really doesn't do us any good to ignore it or try to pretend like we don't. You know, it's part of our reality. It's part of our life. It's part of our baseball existence. So, you know, the fact that the altitude here is almost identical to what we face in Coors Field, sure, yeah, it may have crossed our mind, yeah.
Is it fair to assume that you'll keep the humidor here as well?
It's already installed. It's operational. We took a look at it this morning. You know, it's fully functional, so there's no reason to get rid of it.
And that won't be anything different for us. We had a humidor in Colorado Springs as well, so.
When did you know you had a deal, and how long did it take to create that backbone there?
You know, it's amazing that they can actually turn these things around pretty quickly. We basically came to an agreement, it was like 3 or 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and we knew that this thing was going to happen. So we were able to turn that around quickly and turn around flights, and I flew back from Charlotte, North Carolina on a moment's notice. I was there for the championship game last night because we wanted to get out in front of this and be here to make this announcement today.
Was all your communication by phone or any of it face-to-face?
All by phone, a few texts, but yeah.
Have you had an opportunity to speak with any of the players, and how do they feel about it?
Which players?
Rockies players.
Okay, go ahead.
You know, I know that they have heard about what's going on, obviously, through, I mean, this stuff gets out in a hurry. And so I'm certain that they'll be excited about this facility. I mean, you're talking about maybe the best facility in all of minor league baseball, likely the best facility. And so I know they're excited to come into that as the years go on. But right now, I think they're just like us. You know, it's so new to us. They're still wrapping their heads around it, and they're not focused on that right now. Anyway, the season's over. They're focused on, for the guys that went to the major leagues, they're focused on the rest of this year. For the guys that went home, they're starting to focus on their off season.
You know, to piggyback on that, we obviously we talk to our staff, our coaches, and our players a lot, and it's not just in September or October. It's over the course of an entire season, an entire calendar year, and so they have been some of the greatest sources of information on other cities, other ballparks, other organizations, how they're treated when they go and play and our visiting teams. So, you know, in terms of learning about some of the ins and outs of the Isotopes organization and the quality of it, that hasn't just been a recent process. That's been an ongoing, all the things that we've heard from the guys that are living it day in and day out has been spectacular for months and months and months and months and months and months. So in that way, we've talked to our players about it for a while.
Jeff, do you know where your AA affiliate's going to be next year?
It has come out today, so yeah, it will be in New Britain, Connecticut, in the Eastern League. Yep.
How's the elevation between?
Just slightly less, I believe.
I thought you were going to ask about the flight schedules.
Hey, Jeff?
Yep.
This is more of a comment, really, but, you know, I think we're really lucky to get the Rockies because
Thank you.
your attendance is amazing considering that the only time that you had a good season when you lost to Boston in the World Series, which I'm a Red Sox fan, of course, but
Right.
but the thing is, you guys average 35,000 and you're coming in last or next to last, and hopefully you won't be doing this because you have lots of hitting, no pitching, but you're going to work on the pitching. But I just want to say that the Rockies, it's amazing how they back the community, the team, and the city of Colorado and the whole state. So
Yeah.
I think we're lucky to have the Rockies because you guys do that.
Yeah. You might want to check the records from 09 and 2010.
Oh,
Just refresh your memory.
Speaking of the budget, you guys have some really great prospects for AA this year. John Gray, Evan Butler, Tyler Anderson with the league in ERA.
Right.
Because you're kind of in a different situation with Dodgers, where these guys, they need to pitch at altitude at some point. Do you expect that the bulk of your pitching prospects will eventually come here to Albuquerque? Well, let me first say, Walter White is my first love of Albuquerque. All right, Isotopes is.
Excuse me, just one second. I like that.
You know what? First, you're right. We do have a lot of really good pitching prospects. A lot of them spent a lot of time in AA this year. This year, they were exactly where they needed to be for their development process. As we head into the offseason, some of those guys will be in instructional league with us. We'll obviously be monitoring them closely. Eddie Butler right now is obviously in the big leagues again. So, you know, what happens from now till spring training next year until we break and come here on April the 6th?
9th is opening day.
April 9th. You know, there's a lot that can happen between now and then. So it's much too early to tell you who's going to be here and who's not. But I'm certain there'll be some players off that AA club, absolutely, that will end up as Isotopes for sure.
John, when the Dodgers dropped the news on you, obviously the Rockies were on top of the list, but what other team crossed your mind as a logical fit, time-wise, time zone, travel?
You know, we got the list, when did that come out? Monday?
On the 11th?
No, it came out on the 15th.
Came out on Monday, yeah. So, you know, there were a number of clubs that came out, but it was important to us. I didn't want to sign a 2-year deal. You know, a lot of clubs are going to want to be getting closer to home and this, that, and the other thing. Like I said earlier, we're in this thing for the long haul, and it makes so much sense. Again, I've said it 4 times probably, but just because we're so close. I think that means something to this fan base. I think it means something to this community to be able to just drive or a quick flight to get up there. So, you know, I've used the phrase throughout my career, or certainly since I got to Albuquerque, that if we ever were available, I think we would be the belle of the ball. If you look at the fan base, if you look at the stadium, if you look at the ownership, if you look at from the player development side, all the amenities that we can provide to a major league club, it would be a very, very attractive situation. So, so from my perspective, it's certainly great to be wanted, and I wanted to make a decision that was first and foremost best for our fans. Because I think you go through a reaffiliation process every 2 years or whatever, it confuses people, and we've certainly experienced that in this market. That people have thought, are we moving? Are we for sale? Oh my goodness, are we going to have a team? And because this community hasn't gone through that very much, so for us to be able to educate people how it works, it's great. I just don't want to have to go through it every 2 years.
So are you saying you are the one who first broached the idea of 4 years?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Honestly, that was really more born out of the conversations that we had, and I think the perspectives that both organizations brought to it, and the want for again, I said